Yes, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of ArdorComm Education Community, an emerging community in academia sector, I, Chandan Anand, CEO and founding editor of ArdorComm Media Group, welcome our eminent speakers representing the higher education fraternity and our powered by partner Financepeer at today's opening session of Education Leadership Symposium. I welcome all the delegates and attendees who managed to block their time to be a part of this virtual symposium. With your support and association, we feel privileged and glad to host this event. Let me invite your kind attention towards a small introduction of ArdorComm Media Group. ArdorComm Media Group is a growing media company enabling communities of education, human resource, healthcare and wellness, governance, media, entertainment and art, abbreviated as MEA, to effectively advance their businesses and strategic interest by becoming their collaboration catalyst. Our passion is to co-create, co-learn, and collaborate for innovation and socio-digital transformation. Ardor means passion, zeal, and COM stands for community and communication. Our 5 core values are aspiration, reimagination, digitalization, opportunity, and readiness, abbreviated as Ardor. We are a team of passionate enthusiasts who have taken an effort in co-creating positive changes in the society by collaborating with community leaders like you to help co-create such knowledge-sharing platforms. We aim to become India's leading and most desirable media voice by enriching community with the ecosystem of knowledge-sharing platform, information, and news. We also are opening doors of collaboration and networking. Today is the first session of a 3-month series of Education Leadership Symposium. Today's theme is focusing on how can planned financing solution and technology collaborations aid in developing a better digital infrastructure and digital campus. We all are living in a fast-paced world with technology, which is advancing rapidly day by day. In the past 2 years, we have seen a drastic change in the education system. Due to the pandemic, the educational institutions had to adopt the technology in order to create a digital infrastructure for seamlessly imparting education. Planned financing solutions and technology collaboration can play a vital role in developing a better digital infrastructure or digital campus. Now, digital financing and investment planning, especially in the education sector, is undergoing a profound transformation. Moreover, in the Union Budget 2022, emphasis has been laid on the establishment of digital university to provide access to students across the country for a world-class quality universal education with a personalized learning experience at their doorsteps. Hence, there is an immense opportunity to better the digital infrastructure of education with the help of planned financing solutions. We have researched and carefully chosen very interesting and relevant panel session topic. Our eminent speakers are the stalwarts of education industry. We are shortly going to witness some meaningful and important deliberation. And I'm hopeful that we all will enjoy, learn, and enhance our knowledge from today's session. The session is live on the session is live on our FB page. We will also be tweeting the content of ArdorComm on the Twitter handles. The links will be shared shortly in the chat box. Kindly like, subscribe, and share our social media pages. I request all the attendees and viewers to make this session more interesting and engaging with your valuable participation. I encourage you all to ask relevant questions in the chat box, which will be picked and been asked by the speakers. So with this, let me take you towards the first session of the day with a industry presentation and a remark from one of the leading fintech company, Financepeer. I would like to introduce and invite Mr. Amey Parulekar. He is a BTech engineer and is the go-to guy for the school fee financing. He comes with a wealth of 15 years of experience and is one of the founding members of Financepeer. Amey is a skilled professional. He's experienced in global sales and has worked for companies like Microsoft, eMudra, and Group Veritas. He envisions to ease out global school fee payments and boost the K-12 school education ecosystem. I welcome you, Amey, for your opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction in the first place. It was lovely to go ahead and hear a lot of good things mentioned about me right now on this platform. If I can just share my screen, that would be amazing. If you can just help me with screen sharing this thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'll try to have a very interactive conversations with all of you. And in case if you feel that probably there is something that you want to know more about, you can stop me right there, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question.
No problem. You may go ahead, Amey.
Thank you. So here we go. So I believe most of us have heard about Financepeer. Maybe a couple of us who may not have that recall. I'm sure they at least remember the gentleman who's on our screen. He's the captain of the Indian cricket team, Mr. Rohit Sharma. So Mr. Rohit Sharma is one of the brand ambassadors at Financepeer. And let me quickly tell you a little bit about Financepeer. I won't really spend much time here. But we are by far the country's safest, quickest, and the largest education financing company. So just to give you a quick history, right, about what we do, how we came up with the entire concept of Financepeer. So all of us, all of the founders, the founding team included, we all know each other since we were children. So me, Rohit, Suneet, we used to go to school together, carry bags, walk to school. So that was our routine as children. And probably after a good 10 years, we met up and we were just having a chat about what are the things that we are doing in life. Back then, I was working with eMudra in Dubai. Rohit had just come back. He's the CEO of the company, and he has come back from DBS Bank in Singapore. Navish was cognizant. We were all having a chat as to what are the things that we can do together. So one of the things was right in front of me. I could see my school. It's one of the largest schools in Mumbai by area, called St. Stanislaus High School. It's a 150-year-old school. We were just talking about how dramatically the fees have increased. Because I passed out in the year 2001, and my fee was somewhere on the lines of 300 rupees for the entire year. Today, it's around 1 lakh rupees. So yes, there is a dramatic change. And all of us being from middle class households, whatever we are today, we are because of the education that we receive. So you were like, why not go ahead and transform that? It's strange that today you can actually walk into any kind of retail shop. You can buy an iPhone, you can buy a Samsung, you can buy a TV, you can buy whatever you want on easy monthly installments. But sadly, that was not a solution which was given when it came to fees. Upon closing inspection, we realized that there are so many people who are actually going out and selling land. They are selling heirloom gold, jewelry, to ensure that their children are getting good education. So we are like, since we say that education is the birthright of every child, what are we doing to actually facilitate that? So that's when we thought that let's come up with something called Financepeer, where finance is the capital and peer means friend. So that's what we started off with. And within the first year itself, Google reached out to us, and Google was like, hey, this is a really cool idea. Why don't we go and we'll help you with all of the technology, we'll give you an office, we'll help you with everything that you need. It was just the 7 or 8 of us, and they gave us an office in Lower Parel, a very swanky office. We couldn't have even imagined to afford an office like that. So they gave us an office. They gave us all of the technology that we needed, all of the IT support, everything. So they helped us fly, to be very honest. And that is the reason why we came up with the entire concept, where a parent can now pay the entire year's fee for a child in the form of easy monthly installments, without worrying about quarterly payments, yearly payment, or anything else. And for the institution, it's a win-win situation because they are getting the entire year's fee upfront on day one. So that was a fantastic way to go ahead and start it off. And one of the first things that we observed was that the institutes were happy because their books were clean. They got all of the money upfront on day one. You don't need to remind the students about putting a remark in the calendar, sending notices. All of these things were a day of the past. Immediately, another thing that we noticed is if one of the colleges or one of the universities is working with Financepeer, The amount of admissions that they're getting is a lot higher, simply because the amount of people who can now access that education is higher. So that was a direct result, because of which we went ahead and we saw some dramatic changes in the way in which admissions were happening in institutions. Also, because of, say, some problem or the other, if, say, there's a death in the family, or in case if someone loses their job, there was a chance that there were a lot of dropouts because of these reasons. So that's why we came up with a concept where your entire education will be insured. So tomorrow, no matter what happens in your house, in case if there's a job loss, there's an accident, anything happens, your education does not take a hit, because Financepeer gives you complete insurance as long as a child's studies are concerned. We also ensure that we cover all kind of fees, be it tuition fees, admissions fee, laptop, transport. If a child wants to go to NASA, everything has been taken care of with the help of Financepeer. So it's not just that we are covering only the admission fee or only the hostel fee. We are covering everything possible. Which, in fact, what happens is, a direct result of this is that an institution gets a working capital with them. And COVID has taught us the importance of a working capital, or having money in our account, having that liquid amount in your account is something which is extremely important. Now, of course, when we talk about going ahead, having tie-ups with banks, having tie-ups with NBFCs, and a lot of these people, what is the point? Ultimately, just a piece of paper until you go ahead and until you get the kind of service. So I feel service is something which is really important. And that is something that I pride myself with. So whenever we go and we work with any institution, they have one dedicated SPOC. You can go, you can pick up the phone, you can call them up in case of anything, any kind of assistance is required. We are there to help you with it. Now, to go ahead and if you want to inform the parents that, hey, this is another great way of paying your fees apart from the conventional method, we have gone ahead, we'll help you design brochures, we'll ensure that there are advertisements in the newspapers which are informing people that, hey, this college or this university is taking the extra effort of helping people during these COVID times. So all of these things are taken care of by Financepeer free of charge. We don't charge a single penny for any of the PR, any of the help, any of the assistance, any of the additional admissions that you get. We don't charge any commissions. We don't get into any of that. We are a pure financing company which helps you in every way possible. If you grow, then we grow. Similarly, because I mentioned about a tie-up with Google, similarly, we also have a strategic tie-up with Apple. So in today's day and age, we need some kind of devices to work on, right? So right now I'm having a conversation with you only because of this laptop in front of me. So we help finance devices like laptops, tablets, or anything else which is needed for education for prices which are even lesser than what Apple sells on Amazon or even their own retail store. How? Because we have a strategic tie-up only for students. This is an offer which is available only for the faculty of an institution and for the students. So they can have the latest Apple products for prices which are cheaper than the market rate. Isn't that fantastic? Not just that, we've also started a cashback option where a child, whatever fees that they pay, say 1 lakh, 2 lakh, they get around 8 to 10% of that fee back into their account, which they can use for any other additional program, any kind of educational program that they want to go for. So like on our platform, which is Financepeer Ed Infinity, you can learn coding, you can go ahead, you can do skilling up courses and a ton of other things by paying practically no money, because you've received your cashback, which is in the tune of around 10 to 20,000, which you can go and you can use for all of these things. Similarly, we help. So one of the things was when the pandemic hit, a lot of people were like, yeah, y'all are a tech startup, right? Y'all need to do something which is different. You can't really be like any other company. So that's what we did. We created our own LMS ERP software, and we are giving that free of charge to all of the institutions. So the basic version of that is worth somewhere around 10 lakh, which we're just giving out away to all of the institutions that we are working with. Along with this, we give access to the online programs, plus payment integration at prices which are the lowest in the industry, and also student cards and study abroad loans. So what this does is, in the last 4 years that we are helping students, we are now working with around 11,000 educational institutions across this country with more than 2 million students, and we have access in more than 80 cities across the country. So chances are, whichever city that you are in, I definitely have feet on street who can come, who can meet you, and who can help you with all of the financial options that I've just spoken about. You're working with partners like Akash Institution, Narayana Group, Aita Junior, Upgrad, Topper, the list is endless. So this is a little bit about what we do, about how we can go and how we can contribute in making life a little bit easier for educational institutions. And I look forward to hear from the entire panel and try to understand and deliver whatever little that I can to go ahead and make life a little easier for you. Thank you so much, Chandan.
Thank you, Amey. In fact, it was a wonderful presentation. So presentation along with speech makes that session more interesting. And, tech partners and fintech partners and other technology partners like you are definitely supporting and helping organizations, especially in where we have a gap of a digital divide. Those organizations develop and, equip more in how better we can make the process of financing or investment quite easy, where people are willing to pay the fees on time, or maybe are trying to make the reimbursements of the expenses or transfer of the salaries on time, how the digital payment gateways or the digital smart solutions of financing can help. So looking forward to have some more interesting and enlightening thought on the upcoming panel sessions, which is just planned. So now moving ahead with the session topic of the day is how can plant financing solutions and technology collaborations aid in developing a better digital infrastructure or a digital campus. We have eminent speakers for the day. Mr. Meghdut RoyChowdhury, he is an executive director and CIO of Techno India Group, Kolkata. Welcome, Meghdutji.
Hi, lovely to be
Professor Raghuvir Singh, the Vice Chancellor of Teerthanker Mahaveer University. We just got a message he'll be joining us in a while. Professor Dr. M.M.Goel, Vice Chancellor, Starex University, Gurgaon. Welcome, Mr. M.M.Goel. Professor Sasmita Samanta, ma'am, Vice Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, KIIT, Bhubaneswar. Welcome, Sasmita, ma'am. Amey, Parulekar, you are also joining this panel, and this session is going to be moderated by Dr. P. Balakrishna Shetty. He is the Vice Chancellor of Sri Siddhartha Academy of Higher Education, Tumkur. Welcome, Balakrishnan, sir, and over to you for the moderation and the panel session discussion.
Thank you, Chandan. Thank you, Amey Parulekar, for that presentation. I think that will be very useful for all the universities. Let me just give a preamble before I start the session. We had a devastating corona infection, which has given us a lot of problems. Meanwhile, it has taught us so many new things also, especially in education. From that Gurukul education, I would like to say the present education is a fourth revolution of education. There was a Gurukul education where students used to go with the teacher and learn everything. There was a classroom education wherein teachers, students used to stay in the classroom. There was a distant education where students used to study from distant education. And this is a fourth revolution where the teachers will go to the classroom and the students will be at home studying at home. So this is a fourth revolution. Of course, this fourth revolution has taught us, of course, there are the advantages, there are the disadvantages, but it has taught us something totally new in education, maybe in arts and science education, maybe in professional education, also in medical education. I would like to say I'm the odd man out here. I am the professor of radiology. I'm a doctor here and also professor of radiology. But since I'm in radiology, I'm very well versed with a lot of technological ideas, because radiology is scanning the whole body without opening the whole body. So we do a lot of scannings. So with these few remarks, I would like to start the discussion. And I welcome all the eminent speakers. I welcome Professor Goel, sir, Vice Chancellor of Starex University, and also Sasmita Samanta from KIT, and Meghdut RoyChowdhury from Techno India Group. And we have three panelists right now. So what I would like to say, instead of a one-way talk or one-way theoretical discussions, I would like to say that today it is something like a digital university. I would like to say, initially we used to talk about medicines and bodies, but even a villager will ask you, sir, what is the level of antibody in my human body? They are talking about antibody. So everything is digital. The digital and skill. These are two buzzwords which is going across in the entire country. Now, for example, I'll give you one strategic example here. Like in the Ukraine war, yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister spoke about it, and he was totally surprised to say that more than 10,000 students are outside the country doing their medical education, that too in a country like Ukraine. I'm not putting down any country here, but our students have gone out to study there. That is a colossal loss of economy for our country and healthcare. And these people will go there, study, and come back and practice here. There is no control at all. Even the Prime Minister did not know about. And why this has happened? Because of the absence of digital information. So we should have a digital campus. We should have a digital university. We should have a digital digital data. I don't want to highlight too much on that. I would like to hear from the eminent speakers. Shall I start with Professor Goel, sir? Goel, sir.
Thank you, Professor Shetty,
yes,
for starting the discussion. In fact, when I was contacted by Ms. Itisha, I was sharing my concerns as a needonomist, an economist who talks of economics of needs for needo education. And I have titled my presentation today, Digital Inclusion for Atmanirbhar Bharat, Challenges and Opportunities. Digital inclusion or e-inclusion is a process that aims to make digital accessible to each individual and to impart to them the digital skills they need to make these tools a catalyst for their socio-economic development. Digital design for development is the need of the day, and we have to go in for understanding the digital inclusion with financial inclusion. In fact, you were listening to the person from Financepeer, and let me confess that sadly we are providing educational loans, but they are costlier than car loans in my beloved India. How we can think of going in for this kind of arrangement in our country? At a conceptual level, the discussion also needed to address the benefits and risks of digital inclusion with financing under public-private partnership model. Challenges in use of artificial intelligence to be addressed with alertness, awareness and awakening, mindful utilization and constructive consumption of services for pro-digital people. Challenges of inclusive growth with financial and digital inclusion calls for converting careless to careful and useless to useful Indians, not only for India, but elsewhere in the world. Active participation of stakeholders calls for sustainable lifestyle for realizing the goal of digital inclusion by adopting user pay principle. The pricing of ITs should be linked with prevailing inflation rate. There is an urgent need to strengthen legal provisions so that the cyber laws can act as a potent deterrent for ensuring digital inclusion. To focus on financing digital infrastructure, we have to explore the possibilities of financial inclusion and financial system stability, an issue which has not been understood by many of the stakeholders. To be inclusive, digitalization must also enable access to services that improve people's development and lives, education, health, public services, employment, and not to be limited to leisure and entertainment. We need certain prerequisites to be fulfilled if digitalization is to become a real factor for inclusion for all. Infrastructure quality. Recent history has shown that some of the networks deployed are inoperative and do not enable development, whether for access or services. Telecommunication is a field that calls for expertise. The development of skills at the local level, both for infrastructures and for digital technology, will also be a necessity. Availability of electricity and internet connectivity are the main keys to make digitalization a real factor for inclusion of Indians in various locations in rural and urban areas which are otherwise facing digital divide of huge dimension. Digitalization can become a real accelerator as well as an multiplier, both to create jobs and wealth, and its role in improving efficiency and reducing the operational cost of public services. Atmanirbharta with digital inclusion calls for loans on zero rate of interest under monetary policy and zero subsidy under fiscal policy for implementation of manufacturing policy with export orientation. We have to adopt needonomics with NAW approach, need, affordability, and worth approach of marketing for Atmanirbharta within reach of every Indian digitally empowered. We have to adopt secrets of investment in Vedic wisdom of 4 ashram, Brahmacharya, Grahast, Vanpras, and Sannyas with financial planning, which bring fearlessness and happiness by adopting economics of needs. Atmanirbharta is a necessary and sufficient condition for sustainable development of an economy and its people by keeping a check on greed, which is a villain for all. We have to learn best practices from other nations, including Pali Pali culture, hurry up and hurry up, be quick culture of South Korea, and adopt prognosis approach. Atmanirbharta calls for street smart Indians. Let me tell you that we believe in smartphones and smart cities, but we need to become street smart individuals as Indians and understand the environment around us. And we need to become simple, moral, action-oriented, responsive, and transparent. Keeping in view the financial constraints, we have to patent even jugaad technology, which is required in digitalization also, because many of our laptops are very expensive. Many of the smartphones are very expensive. So I justify patenting the jugaad technology, which is also considered as a frugal and grassroots innovation, which is required in my beloved India for digitalization. Therefore, to make digital inclusion for Atmanirbhar Bharat, there are many challenges and opportunities we must understand for all the stakeholders, including the consumers, producers, distributors, and traders, above all, educational institutions. And let me tell you, we have to think of financing educational sector with many of the measures we can take. You know, a new education policy is silent on certain issues, but we have to have user charges for basically the utilities and fee structure, and that should be linked with consumer price index as we employees get additional DNS allowance. So keeping in mind all these dimensions, we have to plan. I'm sorry to say that Planning Commission is not in existence now, and Niti Aayog is merely having basically no teeth to financing. And particularly for digitalization, although we have been talking of capital expenditure in the budget 2022-23, and it is a considerable amount, we have to ensure that it is being properly utilized. So with these words, I'm grateful to the Education this Leadership Symposium organizers, ArdorComm and Financepeer, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share some of my thoughts with you.
Thank you, Goel sir. Thank you, Goel sir. Professor Goel and Chandan both have highlighted the importance of digital campus. Now we have got 2 more eminent speakers. Next, I'll go with Professor Sasmita Samantha, Vice Chancellor of KIT, and next after that will be with the Meghdut RoyChowdhury. Now we had enough discussions about the importance of digital campus. Now I would like to speak to Professor Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor Sasmita Samantha. How you are implementing this digital campus in your university? What are the methods you are practicing? Basically, I would like to know the best practices of the university, which has implemented the digital programs for administration, for payment of fees, as Parulekar has told, whether you have got a digital platform for payment of the fees. What I see in my university, in the last minute, just before the examination, we need to give the no objection certificate to the students. And I do see students going around in the account section, in the finance offices, trying to get the no objection certificate. This takes away the lot of importance time they need to use for studying for their examination. What are the digital technologies you have implemented in the university? If you have implemented, what are they? So the next session will be on best practices, the actions which have taken up for the implementing digital services, and digital examination processes and digital finance processes. So Professor Saspita Samanta, Vice Chancellor, please.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Madam is in another meeting. She will join within very few seconds.
In that case, I'll go to Meghdut RoyChowdhury. Madam can join a little later. Meghdut, you are free, Meghdut?
Yes, I'm around. Yes.
Meghdut, you can tell us something because you are a Techno India Group CIO. So you will be knowing a lot of action points and implementable points which are implementable and sustainable, and also the points which are useful, which have got the advantages and disadvantages as well as the problems for implementing these digital, because digital, this is a buzzword, but what we have done for this digital thing, and what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and what are the problems you are facing. Meghdut RoyChowdhury, please.
Well, let me try and put a kind of a scope on that. I am, first of all, I think out of everyone on this panel, I think I'm the only digital baby. Because I just turned 30, right? That probably makes me one of the first generations. I think right after Amey probably and Chandan's later years, I think I would be one of the first people on the panel who probably had computers at home from a very young age. And had access to devices as well. I think it's not just about the fact that there is the availability of computers and the availability of digital technologies. It's about the way that the digital generation in general adopts to technologies, right? It's
only those in 30s can speak about digital aspects. Meghdut. Not those
early 30s. I mean, there's a reason why I'm saying this as well. I mean, it's nothing, I'm not being an ageist when I say this, but I have a sister, for example, who's 10 years younger than me. And I'm seeing the way that she communicates in general, the way that she interacts with technology is very different. I think every generation, even I think before, generations used to take, I think 25, 30 years to go from one generation to the next. Now, I think that span has gotten a lot lesser. Like in 7-8 years itself, I see a completely different generation. Like we used to talk about generational shift from our grandfathers to our fathers and to our generations. Now it's between me and my sister, I see there's a huge generational gap and a generational divide. And it's not a bad thing, right? It's just that the way that technology itself shapes up creates so much requirement for us to keep up with the technology, and sometimes there's a lot of fatigue on it as well. And I am personally speaking, I'm not very much in favor of this entire the world of digitalization to the extent that we've come to, because I think it creates. I mean, first of all, the first thing that we do, every person, let's forget education for a second. Just the average person, before we go to sleep, we are on our phones. When we wake up in the morning, the first thing we do before even brushing our teeth, before going to the toilet, is picking up our cell phones and checking Instagram or Twitter to see our news, or going on Facebook or whatever it is. Now, there's nothing bad about it, right? But the whole issue that comes along is now that there's been that level of continuous bombardment of news and information, and a lot of it negative in the last couple of years, be it because of the pandemic, because of now because of the war that's happening right now in Ukraine. It's just been like a lot to deal with. And when I talk with young people right now, I think one of the biggest issues that they are struggling with is mental health issues related to way too much exposure to digital information. And back in the day, if you look at at the time of the Rajas and the Maharajas, the education was something that was kept for the privileged. You could only have access to it if you had a certain amount of social capital, or if you had access to libraries and you had to go to a place and physically get out information. And then, education was, or information in general, was a very, very valuable resource or a very valuable commodity. But now there's just so much bombardment of information that we find it very hard to kind of find our way around what we need to do and, how can we study. Let's take very concrete examples. Let's say the first pandemic, the first lockdown, when it was happening, I remember, I think I'd been part of, 250, 300 such webinars, and it was, fairly repetitive content after a point. Everyone was talking about digitalization of campuses. What are we doing? What is good to do? Challenges, blah, 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 blah. At some point, even my extremely digital native persona got tired. It just fatigue kicked in. And I could understand that all of my students, at Techno India Group, for example, we have about 80,000 students, from, school students to college students, and also from rural to urban to suburban. We have all kinds of, students coming from all kinds of backgrounds. It's just given rise to so much fatigue given in classrooms. And I figured that if this keeps going on for much longer, it would not be very, very good for mental health of the students in general. And I was right. What ended up happening was we saw a series, and I'm sorry to bring in like very fairly negative stuff here, but I think also toxic positivity is probably as problematic as toxic negativity. I keep saying this a lot, but I'm going to share some like very gory details about what happened right after. We had I think in a week, we saw 3 deaths back to back, 3 suicides amongst our student body. And I think that really shook me up. I think the fact that when I went in and did the case studies on, what was the reason for these suicides, was always that, okay, the kids were super depressed at home. They asked the parents, please let us go back to our campuses. The parents came to the universities or colleges, like, please open the campuses. And then we as a university, our hands are tied, or our colleges or our schools, their hands are tied. And obviously, unless there's regulation or there's legislation, we can't do anything about it, which meant that the whole cycle, the vicious cycle of mental health issues kept cropping up. And at some point, these kids just couldn't deal with it anymore, and they committed suicide. And today, I say it with a lot more, candor. I can say it. We've dealt with it at the university. It was not a good time. But what it has given rise to, I think, the fact that as educators or as responsible citizens, as responsible leaders of tomorrow and today, I think we also need to take into account the negatives that the digital educational ecosystem has brought upon us, and the fact that essentially we are not really solving anything by creating direct links between, okay, this is what we used to teach in class, let's just put the entire thing into on a computer and hope the kids would learn. I'm sorry, I don't believe that has happened. I think in the last 2 years we've had the biggest possible drain of intellectual ability in our country, and we will take a long time to come out of that. And I'm sorry to have been the bringer of bad news here, if that might come across like that, but I think it's important to say, call a spade a spade. And if we don't do that, as I feel like I'm very close to the age of most of our students, and especially in the schools, I've seen the kids at school struggle. What is education if not tactile? Tell me, what is education if you're not able to put our hands around it, if you're not able to talk to people? I think I've been to some fairly good schools. I'm an alumnus of Stanford University, I'm an alumnus of HEC Paris, of Tel Aviv University. I've been to some pretty good schools. I think if I had to do all of my classes online, I would have not learned, and I've definitely would not have become the person I am today, where a lot of young people look up to me, and for various reasons, which is not just because of the fact that I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Techno India. So coming back to the point of what we can do, and as you said, how we can help create a better educational ecosystem for young people in this country, because first is, I think, representation really matters, creating inclusive spaces, and hearing, I think, creating positive force, creating positive feedback mechanisms within our institutions is going to be very important going forward. I've been to so many of these educational conferences where there's no representation from young people. I've said this out loud. I think there's this one, I was in Kuala Lumpur, and there was the Minister of Education, and there was another 100 people, 100 yes men going like, yes sir, great speech, you really killed it. I'm like, who are you giving the speech to? There's no young people in this room. None of your students are actually in the room to hear what you're going to be talking about. And for me, that's problematic, right? The moment we're not bringing young people in, the people whom we are serving, our students, be it school students, college students, if we are not able to bring them into the ambit of our conversation, then we are just pretending to do them a service in society. It's always like a top down, okay, we feel like this great digital finance solution, nothing against Financepeer here, but yeah, we feel that there's this great technological solution that we should provide, or there's this great financial service that we should provide. But unless we're having those conversations, and it would be with the students, with the stakeholders themselves, it's very problematic. I'm sure organizations like Financepeer, the reason why they have reached where they are today is because they've done that research. They've worked with all kinds of stakeholders at all of the levels, and that's why their products make sense. And hopefully, the evolution of education, if you look at in the next few years, what I am personally very interested in, and this will be the last thing that I talk about, what I'll be very interested in to see the shift in education, because personally, even though we are probably the largest degree granting authority in the state of West Bengal, from all our schools and colleges, or more than 50 different institutions where we're doing that. But unless we figure out what comes next after the degrees, I don't see a lot of young people still adopting that in an age where the Googles and the Facebooks and the Ubers of the world don't really care about your degrees. Even if you're sitting in your garage and you're just a good coder who can solve the problems of society, that's good enough. So hopefully, as the educational fraternity, we'll be able to see what's coming in the future and act accordingly. And I'm happy to be here, happy to be talking to all of you, and good luck for the rest of the symposium. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meghdut. I think again, Madam Samantha is online. Okay. Parulekar, are you online? Okay. Now, how can you help our students to make their payments, like a digital way? Is there a solution?
Oh yes, absolutely. In fact, payments have to be digital now, but there are no two ways about it. And just the way in which Meghdut sir was just talking about a lot of things, which were absolutely bang on. One of the things, though, I feel is it's not a very negative discussion. I'll be very honest about it, because just the way in which probably demonetization facilitated the entire online and digital payments, right? So if they wouldn't have been demon, probably not everyone would have been on Paytm or on Google today. So probably sometimes what happens is that such shocks or such calamities are what give rise to some of the greatest solutions available. So I really think that with the entire pandemic, right, and I think this was probably, if it was to hit, this was probably a fairly decent time for it to hit, simply because had the pandemic happened even maybe 10 or 15 years back, you would have been absolutely helpless. Today, the kind of data that we have, the kind of technology that we have, we can sit on a laptop in front of each other and we can have this discussion. I do not remember doing this 15 years back. So the whole thing is, had that been the case, and probably for 2 years, I don't know what children would have been doing when it comes to education. So yes, there will always be calamities, but our job is to ensure as to what is the best that we can do out of it. So digital payments is a fairly simple process. We can go ahead, we can have a web integration with the top universities around here. So it's as simple as if a child wants to make the payment, right? They just have options like pay by credit card, pay by debit card, or pay by Financepeer. In Financepeer, just upload your basic documents. You'll get your approval real time, and then you can go ahead, you can make the first EMI payment. And we go ahead and within 48 hours, we pay the entire year's fee into the institute's account. So it's a fairly simple integration. It won't take more than a week or two for us to go ahead and complete the integration. But one of the things which I really wanted to understand here is the importance of actually securing this amount upfront, because we have to be ahead of the curve, right? So we have I've been a part of a ton of webinars now. Everyone just keeps talking about the fact that it's going to be blended learning, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But who are the first movers? Who are the ones who are actually going ahead and implementing these effectively? Because if you go to the market today, there are 1,000 vendors, everyone selling LMS or something. I'm sure all of you guys must be getting at least one email a day from somebody trying to sell you an LMS or some kind of online tool. That is what is happening, which is happening every day. That is precisely the reason why we decided to develop our own and decided to give that free of charge to institutions, so that they won't be caught in a spiral of integration and then going and working these things out. So that is a little bit that we could do. But there's also something wherein today, like we spoke about a lot of students going abroad for education. Similarly, I see a lot of universities coming to India as well. Like there are a lot of people who I know during the pandemic have done small courses from Harvard and things like that for as little as I think around $1,500 to $1,800 US. So that's like somewhere on the lines of $1 lakh or some. And these are about 3 or 4 month courses, and they're sitting with these certificates from Harvard and MIT and quite a few others. So I really think that this is something which we need to take up, like especially universities. They need to start creating their own content, going ahead and having quick certification courses. Because today I don't know how many children are actually willing to maybe spend around 2-3 years to go ahead and do their masters, or probably to go ahead and to skill up. So that is, I'm really not too sure how many people will be interested in that. Even now, if you see the kind of content that people want is quick content, and they want to go and they want to understand the concepts from the base root, but nobody really wants to sit today and keep reading giant books like we did when I was doing my engineering. So I think that shift needs to come. And for any kind of a shift to come, one of the things which is going to be the most important is capital. So that capital is something that we can go ahead and we can help raise. And along with that, whatever additional tools that a child may need for their education, like laptops, any kind of tablets, all of this we can work it out for them at prices which are much cheaper than the industry. So I think that is a little bit that we are doing from our side, but that institutes also need to re-innovate themselves.
Amey, that is a very good point which you're giving. I would like to say Sri Siddhartha University will be the first university to collaborate with you for all the financial options. But the problem which we are facing right now, Parulekar, is now, of course, people talk about tons of webinars. Tons of webinars are there. We cannot avoid that. And only people who want to attend that, they'll attend that, because we can't meet physically. So we have got these webinars, number one point. The second point is these software in the universities. Starting from the registration, admission, classroom technologies, examination technologies, finance technologies, and there are so many technologies, and for everything we find a different software. So that becomes a real problem for us to manage with handling so many softwares. What is your solution for having a comprehensive software which can run the entire university? You have a comprehensive solution, or can we blend your software with other softwares?
Oh yes, absolutely. Us being a tech startup, coming to the later part of your question, yes, we can blend with almost all of the softwares which are available today. So I would say all of the major softwares that you may have, yes, we can work with it. There is no problem in that. The softwares, the LMS that we offer, we give you a complete holistic control. That includes everything right from the cutoff of admissions, going ahead and managing the entire admission process, to going ahead and handling the inventory of the institution. So even knowing what is the inventory in your institute, right from books to everything over there, right, going all the way up to managing alumni, going ahead and issuing certificates, understanding how many certificates you've issued to a student. All of this information can be compiled and compressed in one software, which we are giving free of charge to our students.
That's nice. That's nice, Parulekar. Now, Meghdut, you mentioned about so many points. Of course, you said there are a couple of points which made you to come to this particular level, something like that. But my question is, what are those things which can be implemented in the university or in the higher education? Can you tell us some points? You are the CIO of some Techno India group, and how your methodologies like Techno India can be implemented the university platform. Can you say some points about that?
I think I already did mention some. I think whatever was to be done in terms of digitalization, we did it in the first couple of weeks of the pandemic itself. We have a fairly large tech team which I lead, and this tech team for us, it works like our own little tech startup, and whatever was required for the students, we built it. So for example, for our schools, we built a software called Offbeat Education, which is currently not only being used by 30 schools, it's being used by about 12,000 government schools in the state of West Bengal and a couple of other states around us in Madhya Pradesh as well. And the reason why we built it is we figured that we built a software utilizing our teachers. At that time, they needed digital solutions to be present for their students. They were really struggling in the schools, and they came up with the problem, and we helped them with the solution. It was as simple as that. We put a 30-member team together. We built our own software within I think it was 3 months or so, and since then it has helped our schools be ahead of the curve. And we don't brag about it, but I think we've been fairly digitally inclusive right from then. Also, the fact that we have lots of schools and colleges which are in very remote areas. I say in Jharkhand we have 4 campuses which are literally in the middle of nowhere, in Chaibasa, in Tumkur, in Ramgarh, Silli. In Madhya Pradesh we have an agricultural university in Sironj. My issue has never been with our bigger campuses in the cities. It has mostly been with accessibility of education in these smaller towns, and we found solutions to make it accessible for all of these little campuses as well. We also built a campus management system and LMS, and all of these things that we're talking about right now. This we had done way before. In 2016 we had built it for our own university, because we feel that if we have always led from the front, at least in our states and in our neighboring states, and we've believed in doing it ourselves, and we believe that if we ourselves can't solve our own problems, nobody else probably can. That's the reason why we even have an innovation department within our group. And now we are creating solutions in consultancy modes for various other organizations as well. Even if we look at the way that we've helped chambers of commerce get ahead of the at least in Calcutta, if you ask around anybody, all of the chambers of commerce, all of the big organizations, they took our help as consultancy services to organize their big hybrid programs with thousands of people, both online, offline together, and all of that was happening during the pandemic. So at the end, I think it's all about the power of entrepreneurs. It will come down to that. Tomorrow's kids need to be taught how to learn and not exactly what to learn. That's the most important skill of tomorrow, and I think they need to be taught how to ask questions, how to be curious, and how to stay ahead of the curve by just thinking out of the box, thinking critically. Hopefully, we'll create a lot of more entrepreneurs who can solve the problems that they see around them.
That's right, Meghdut. I hope Chandan is also online. But Meghdut, there is one point what I would like to ask you. Like they say, necessity is the mother of all inventions. And we do see a lot of, in the university platform, you see people coming with a lot of softwares. Now softwares and the other word which we use is startups, and also now they're coming with software and digitalization of research procedures in university. Now, the question is how these softwares are going to help our students and faculty members. There are softwares. I do see there are, every day the people come with they're trying to show their software, and they're telling this is a software, what we can do, all those things that show us. But whether the students are going to use this software, number one, whether the faculty is going to use this software, number two, and whether the management wants to use this software, number three, these are the points which needs to be answered. Of course, we have a software, but whether this software has helped our students, faculty members as management, can you highlight on that, Meghdut?
As I think I began my entire comment on this space by exactly this point, that there's so many softwares, there's so much digitalization that at the end of the day, there is a lot of fatigue. I genuinely don't believe people are even interested in learning online anymore. We just want to go back and run around in the fields and just be with their friends and do dumb stuff. That's what education is about as well. I think we learn the most when we are just being ourselves and not restricted to the shackles of society as well. But yeah, all of these softwares, I mean, if I myself as a fairly learned techie, if I don't want to use softwares myself, I don't think most of my students who are there already suffering from 2 years of digital fatigue and screen fatigue want to use them very much either. I've the genuine issues with continuously changing the softwares we use. Just because something is better does not mean, I mean, first of all, there's nothing called objective and absolute better. It's mostly always, there's a lot of marketing that goes behind it as well. If you are invested as a university in a software, just stick with it and try to build modules that are progressively solving more problems. But I don't think, after a certain point, what are you going to do with all of this software? And more importantly, if all of this software does not talk to each other, then it's also quite useless. And let's ask Amey, I mean, he's part of a massive tech startup. I mean, they know about the importance of just building APIs within everything else and letting the data feed into each other, because otherwise you're creating, sort of, think of it like this: in the physical world, the equivalent of having different vendors providing you softwares for an LMS, for a finance company, for for a campus management software as different vendors. It's basically like buying massive almiras, and the almiras, you're creating the exact same set of documents and putting those in, like, with very little modifications, in complete 3, 4, 5, 6 different sets of documents in these different steel almiras. Really not very useful. Rather than that, having the vision of it, without just, okay, let's have a software. Rather than that, what is the target that you want this software to solve? What is it that your human beings at the university can't do themselves? Having a second line of defense which comes in form of the software, and definitely having software that speaks to itself. I think that's very important. I've definitely taken a backseat on that. There's no point pushing for software, pushing for innovation when it's not needed. When it's needed, it will come from the faculty, from the staff itself, and most of these problems can be solved at that point. Also, I think we're having this conversation very late. This conversation, if we were having it in the April of 2020, would have been very useful. I think in February of 2022, I think it's a really benign conversation we're having, because I think we're way past that stage where we had the need for softwares. But that's my bit.
What do you say about that? Is it too late to discuss all these things?
Well, a little bit of yes and no as well. So what I would say is, yes, most of the institutions which are running today, right, have their own set of ERP solutions. They have whatever things that they have needed to facilitate studies. So like probably someone is using Zoom, someone is using Microsoft Teams. There are a ton of things which people are using. So I'm not trying to say that Zoom is better or Teams is worse. My only thing is, because there is so much confusion today, right? Like I said, and I believe me and Meghdut agree on the same point, that there is a bit of a fatigue when it comes to all of these softwares, and are they really necessary? Do you really need all of these things today? My thing will be a bit of yes and no. So yes, there are some tools that we will need, like online education will still stay. Smart boards are here to stay. It's not like you can go back to the same time that we had in the year 2019. That's really not going to be the case. There will be certain expectations from the students as well. So once a child comes to the university, they will have certain expectations to come from that too, which is fairly common. So for that, yes, there will be certain softwares, but by now I think most of the institutions have realized what is it that's working. And for some who feel that probably the product is not working anymore, I think they're going to go online. They're going to be 1,000 of sites which are even going to compare one software to another. That is why what we offer is we have put in everything that we can think of together. And if there are any additional requirements, we can add those as well. And that is why we are giving one size fit all to everyone. And once you have that with you, you feel that there are certain changes that need to be done, we can always do that for you. So it's a lot easier to contact one vendor for any kind of problems, rather than having 50 vendors with 50 different plugins, compatibility issues. The more the moving parts, the more complicated the product is going to end up becoming. So if there is a fault somewhere, take for instance, if there's a bug, there is going to be a lot of blame sharing, that iska API sahi nahi tha, this did not integrate very well, these guys are using the wrong backends, and things like that. So I think it makes a bit more sense if you have one large comprehensive product which covers most of the things.
That's right, Amey, but there are some questions in the chat box. They're talking about the digital campus and the digital university. What exactly it means? What digital campus means? What? The whole thing is digitalized as a digital campus, or only student matters are digitalized as digital campus? What does it actually matter for you? Or what does it matter? What does it say? Any idea about that?
So I really wouldn't like to go ahead and comment much on it, because we have stalwarts in the panel, right? So I feel y'all can be the best judge as to what is the environment that you want to create, what are the things that you want to cover in this, and to go ahead and to help facilitate that. Whatever technology, whatever finance that you would need, we can go and we can help build that up for you.
Okay, good. Now, Professor Saspita Samanta, he is here. Welcome. I think you are very busy with your administrative programs. But I would like to know, I have heard that KIT is doing a lot of technological developments in the university, digital campus, the digital university. It is one of the digital universities. Madam, we would like to hear from you. What is that you are doing as for the digital campus or digital university is concerned? What are your best practices we would like to learn from you?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you. I'm very sorry that you all are waiting for me since long. Actually, while I confound for the session, I forgot that this is the National Science Day, and maybe this day will be very busy in the university because we run number of professional programs. Just our National Science Day also was scheduled at 3 o'clock under the chairmanship of director of SIPA. So we all got engaged there for a long time. Yes, I would like to say that the topic we all are discussing since last 2 years in every forum, that digitization of education, perhaps it has not happened in last 2 years. This digitization concept, the digitization system in education started just 2 decades back. Slowly, we try to bring technologies into the academic processes and system initially. And KIT is known being the first Wi-Fi campus in this country. We are the first one to have Wi-Fi campus. We are the first one to bring S400 server to the campus in 1998 and 99. And I remember that during that time, many experts from different ministries came and visited the campus, that how KIT could make one academic campus Wi-Fi and how it is being done. Of course, since then, as we run many technological programs and we are known because of our very good technology program in campus, we try to bring innovations and digitized many activities in the campus, not only being Wi-Fi, but slowly in last 2 years, we try to bring the concept of smart classroom. As we know that National Knowledge Commission was established around 2006, 7, 8. They did lots of work under the leadership of Sam Pitroda, and they could bring the concept that how the faculties available in the best institution, they can contribute for the colleges, those who are in the interior area of the country, or for the courses in which we are having very limited number of faculties. So in that National Knowledge Network, Government of India tried to integrate many institutions and tried to come with the smart classroom concept under the leadership of IIT Kharagpur. And they try to impart the lectures in IIT Kharagpur and few other institutions, as the institution across the country, the students in institutions across the country, they can attend and they can get the benefit out of that. So KIT was also part of this National Knowledge Network, and we also got integrated with many premier institutions in the country. And slowly we tried to bring many technology in the educational processes itself. So we are the first to implement SAP in the university. We are first in the country because KIT uses the SAP ERP in Toto. I can say that in each and every activity, in every functional areas of the university, not only SLCM, the HR, finance, marketing, everywhere the SAP is being used. Second is that in the university, each and every student, each and every faculty, each and every staff is provided with one laptop, with a gadget, as such they can connect themselves online always. And maybe because of that, after this outbreak of this COVID-19, we could start the classes immediately online just after 2 days from 17th of March onwards, because each one of the student and faculty, they had their own laptop and they knew that how to use the gadget by themselves. So that was the second reason. Third is that the digitization in education, as we are talking about online education, establishing the full-time degree courses, as it has been for KIT also, it has been approved by University Grants Subcommission. Like all the good institutions in the globe, they have in the first phase, they have shortlisted top 100 institutions of different sectors as such they can impart the online education to the students, as government is having agenda to achieve 50% enrollment in higher education by end of 2030. So for that, now they have allowed KIT is also one of the institution in them. And coming to digitization of education, yes, I can say that KIT also has launched its own online platform in the name of KITEX. And with this platform, not only KIT is going to impart its education by the developed by its own faculty members, but we are trying to integrate ourselves with different national and international online platforms. We have already signed MOU with Coursera. Now we are going to sign MOU with many online platform, international universities. Recently, we have signed one university with Harvard Business School. As such, our students can, of course, that is only for our students. Our students can get benefit out of the good courses imparted in Harvard Business School. We are trying to sign MOU with many more universities to integrate in their digital learning platforms. As my students, those who are studying in my campus, they can also get exposure and expertise from those universities. Though we have signed MOU with 205 universities across the globe or in all continents, I can say that our 700 to 800 students pre-pandemic, they are visiting different universities across the globe for one semester abroad program, internship program, exchange program, and different activities they are going. So now we are slowly trying to digitize all our regular degree courses. In first phase, we have applied to UGC for approval of 13 courses. 9 have already approved. 4 are under consideration because it has some practical portion in that program itself. So UGC has asked that how we will be delivering those practicals to those students, those who will be getting enrollment through online, and how those practical approaches can come to the system. So for that, we are discussing with many edutech industries. I find that now, of course, during these 2 years, one sector has grown very fast, that is the edutech industry. And many edutech industries, I can say that in one day, I had continuously in 2 days, I had seen the presentation of around 57 edutech industries. And I found perhaps they have doing best innovation in certain areas. One presentation I had seen from one edutech industry, their name I cannot remember, but they were teaching AI and ML and intervention of the best industrialist in the world. Their intervention in imparting these courses, they have designed in such a way that the people, those who have established a particular industry, they are best in the world, they are trying to bring them into the platform as the students can learn from their experience. And the technology they are using, whatever I am seeing, I am also being a teacher, I find while we are teaching online, the students' participation, then peers interaction, then experimentation of the knowledge, then the realization or authentication of knowledge, and after that, the confidence created in the students. Those things are lacking in online education till now. It is because we don't have the appropriate technology in place to bring that into the online education itself, the digital education itself. So I find that those edutech industries are trying to bring some technological concept. I cannot say that it's foolproof today. Some technological concept in certain field that industry was imparting courses in AI and ML, the type of experiences they wanted to give to the students, though it is not related to those areas, as I say, but as if those students are sitting in a roller coasters and they are getting the input from each and every side, how AI is working in this world, how it is transforming the whole space, starting from the industry, the business, the education, the transportation, healthcare. So that real life experiences they are trying to bring into the curriculum and their pedagogy itself, as the students can realize during their teaching. And that sort of, I can say that that sort of evolution in technology, if it is coming in for each and every discipline, slowly the digital education can be one of the best options for the students. One prominent strength of this digital education is the inclusiveness. It can reach to everybody, even the person who is sitting in the top of the hill or in the very, very remote village. That is first one. Second one is, if digital education is getting popularized, it will be one of the cheapest option. Third thing is that it is having the capabilities to bring the knowledge and expertise from around the globe. It is not confined to a campus, it is not confined to one institution. But always, I can say that there will be always demand for physical education. My students, those who left the campus in March 2020, they have joined just before 3 days in campus. But the enthusiasm, the interest, the motivations I see in them, just I attended one meeting with them with 1,200 students in one auditorium. And the motivations, I can say that the excitement I see in them, that they have joined the campus again. So that excitement perhaps motivates them to learn more and more. And that excitement, that spark drives them forward in their journey of knowledge. And this physical education slowly will be taking the place of experiential learning. There will be two types of institution. One is digital, which is inclusive, which is cheap, which is accessible to everybody, even to the people those who are working. But experiential education always will be having the prime place where the students, youngsters would like to come, they would like to talk, they would like to interact, they would like to get the diversity of the field, diversity of the experts available in the campus with them to make their journey, intellectual journey, a much more, I can say that, much more enjoyable, much more, I can say that, much more interesting for each one of them, because we see today the present generation kids, they're having lots of aspiration from intellect also. They want to make their intellectual journey memorable throughout their lives. While we talk to the students, we see they want that my university life should be unique than anyone else. Then why will you ask them how you want to make your university life unique? Somebody says that I want to enjoy my learning with my friends. Somebody says that I want to authenticate each and every information experimenting in the labs and with the help of my friends and faculty members. Somebody says that I want to take the advantage of international network of the university community. I want to connect with the international network. I want to prove myself. I want to put my ideology there, and I want to experiment that how my ideology is whether it's having enough potential and credibility to get to bring new changes in the lives. So there are lots of changes and diversity in the thoughts of the today's youngsters. So such type of experiential campuses always will be having the prime role, though I say that digitization is having its own advantage. So both type of institutions will be there, but the institutions, those who are only built up with some rooms, classrooms, the teachers coming, giving the lecture, students are listening, only giving the examination. Maybe if we are going for the digital education system, that sort of system may not be that much appreciated by the present generation youngsters or the future generations itself. Slowly we have to bring the practical knowledge from the region, from in and around us, from environment, from peers and international to the campus itself to attract the students and the intellect of the globe in the campus. I hope that the vision of NEP 2020, vision of our Honorable Prime Minister of this country for developing one educational ecosystem, the internationalizing the educational ecosystem, and I can say now the objective of this present government for taking Indian education system to the globe. In last 2-3 meetings, whatever our Honorable Secretary of Education did by inviting the Vice Chancellor from different universities, he wanted to project the education system of this country whole to the world. So I think that such initiatives will be bringing lots of changes in next few couple of years. And now I find our university being one of the, I can say that one of the most fortunate university for in-housing highest number of foreign students in campus. We are having 1,500 foreign students from 50 countries, around 60 countries, and they are doing their full-time program. Apart from that, round the year students come for exchange program, internship, and certificate program in such program. But 1,500 students are there from different countries for pursuing their different degrees, starting from bachelor's, master's, PhD from number of countries. And I hope that such initiation of government and support of the edutech industries, and I see the finance industry, what I was seeing the presentation, you are coming to help the students for getting the scholarship, for getting the loans. I spoke to one person who visited me last month, and he came with his own plans, strategies. And of course, such strategies are very much appreciated, because today, whatever we do in this globe, it can be business, it can be social enterprises, everything we do for the people. I hope that your such initiatives also will bring some changes, create some confidence with the kids, those who are struggling for financing their education in this country or abroad. That changes, that you're having that capabilities to transform that, to bring that changes to the Indian educational ecosystem itself. Thank you for that. I would like to thank Adacom also for calling this meeting and inviting us to speak here and to know each other.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your valuable inputs. And if there are no more questions for the discussion, I would request Chandan to go ahead with the final remarks.
Yeah, before that, Shetty sir, being a moderator, it is a very less time where you can, express yourself. In same lines about say digitalization, or taking a step forward where where you encouraged and tell Amey also that you would be the first university in doing that. Can you please highlight some of the the stepping stones in terms of the digital era for the faculty and for the students in your university?
Yes, digital education, I would like to tell that first of all, we all thought our students were deprived of technology and digital systems. But I would like to say that my student is the best person to do any digital aspects or technology. He's a techno savvy. We always said, we thought our students are not good. But if you see internationally, if there's a competition on spelling bee, math bee, the Indian student will be the #1. If you see any greatest software companies, global companies, Indian students, Indians will be topping there. They'll be CEO of the greatest Indian companies. If you take NASA, if you take the best of the hospitals across the country, the best doctors are Indians. We are the best. There is no doubt about it. The problem is we are looking west and east to become best, but we are the best. That we need to realize as soon as possible. The most important, which is lacking in our university system, it is not the technology. It is the love and affection. It is a motivation. I feel all our faculty members, all our vice chancellors should motivate our students, because if they can perform very well abroad, why can't they perform very, very well here? The question comes, is the seed is bad or the soil is bad? The seed is very good. It is excellent. It is phenomenal. It is amazing. But the soil is very, very bad. It is very bad. I am very sorry to say that. We need to encourage our students. The students will get technology from anywhere. If you want it, you will get it. I'll tell you, we need to give the technology. I'll tell you, with the people like Kasturi Rangan in our state, we started satellite education 10 years back. 10 years back, we started satellite education because he is the chairman of the ISRO. He knew everything about the satellite systems, and we started training our students through satellite systems. Believe me or not a single student was utilizing that satellite education system. We talk about Swayam, we talk about MOOCs. Tell me how many students are utilizing that. We have excellent technology, but the question is how many students are utilizing that. If you go to the library, we have got the best of the library. How many students will go to the library and open these excellent research material? Very few. The question comes, where is the technology? The question is, what is the technology? Where is the technology? The question is how our students are using the technology, how we are motivating them. That is the most important point. We have a digital campus. We do talk about digital campus. We talk about virtual university. We talk about augmented reality and virtual reality, all this artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, all those things we talk about. Everybody knows about. We need not teach. A first standard boy or even a lower KG, upper KG boy, we need not teach him how to utilize this, the most important equipment called mobile. They say every child is born as an intelligent, every child is born genius and goes to the school to become an idiot. Because we tell them to read this, read this, read this. We force a child. My child is very good. He knows what to do, what to learn, where to excel. They know everything. We need to encourage him. That encouragement is lacking in our faculty. I am not telling all the faculty that if you give that encouragement, all of you see, it is not the first benchers. These are the last benchers who are performing. They are doing the best. They are the best of the technologists. They are the best of the doctors. They are the best of the engineers. So the technology is most important. Technology should be given. So technology should be there for the students and for the faculty members. But more than that, we need to work from heart, not from the brain. That is the most important message I would like to give during this conclave. Go ahead, Chandan.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for your insight and the ideas which you shared, and the way you appraised your students is really commendable. I'm sure that your teaching team, your non-teaching team, along with you, under your leadership, is doing some tremendous work in giving a digital path to your students and the other faculty members. In fact, what I learned from so many sessions which we keep on doing on technology and innovation, that technology and innovation has to be a very user-friendly technology and innovations. Otherwise, just for the sake of technology and innovation, any tech company which brings, if it is not user-friendly, it again is it becomes very useless of in terms of the amount of the cost and the time which is been given over there. So and definitely these technology partners are helping us in making the process very smooth. It's just that we should go back to them, make them understand what is the challenge which we are facing in using that technology. So hence they will be in a position to come back to us in giving it as a better solution to make that best use out of it. In fact, nowadays every technology is very useful. We should at least explore to understand what is working for us and what is not working for us. It cannot be calculated just by saying that that student or that faculty is not capable of doing that. That could be a wrong statement in saying that. The technology has to be practically be accessible, and it should be usable by everybody. So in fact, the kind of session which we had and the topic which we discussion which we thought it would be, I think we tried to get best out of the speakers which we had today. So how can plant financing solutions and technology collaborations aid in developing a better digital infrastructure? I think a good justice has been given to this from this session. And thank you, Dr. Balakrishna Shetty sir, for moderating this session pretty well. And it was a very blend and insightful session. The knowledge coming from the industry, where Amey was taking that role very effectively and very in a very easy language. He tried to elaborate and make us understand that how Financepeer is going to make this path journey easy for us, and the industry stalwarts of the higher academia is also helped us in understanding their case studies, how they had made this process quite smooth. Let me congratulate Saspita ma'am for the way universities like KIIT are giving us a good foundation and stepping stone forward of taking the Indian education internationally, and the kind of collaboration which the universities like KIIT is doing, making that collaboration easier, so that not digitally how international and Indian education could be interchanged, and this exchange program definitely will help us in enhancing our knowledge and skills. So thank you so much for that lovely and insightful session by everybody. So before moving, let me let me have the honors of felicitating all the speakers who had joined today with us. May I request my backend team to kindly give the e-certificate to all the eminent speakers who are present today for their exemplary work in the education which they are doing. We'd like to present this certificate to Meghdut RoyChowdhury, the Executive Director and CIO of Techno India Group, for participating as a distinguished speaker at ArdorComm Education Leadership Symposium and your contribution towards the education fraternity at large. Congratulations, Amey. So a token of appreciation to Dr. Balakrishna Shetty sir, who is the Vice Chancellor of Sri Siddhartha Academy of Higher Education, Tumkur. Goel sir has to leave because of certain urgency, but again, congratulations, Professor M.M.Goel, for your contribution to this session and for the exemplary work which you are doing in the industry. Thank you, sir. We would like to present this certificate to Professor Sasmita Samanta, ma'am, the Vice Chancellor of Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. Congratulations, ma'am, and thank you for giving your time in the session today and the kind of work which you are doing at your university. We are appreciating Amey's work a lot. So it's the second time we are reflecting this. Amey, thank you so much for being a part of this and helping us and motivating us in organizing such a platform, which definitely speaks about the knowledge of finance and how the fintech and the finance technology is crucial and important in the ongoing academic process of each and everybody over here. So you are making the life of an academia as well as student easy in doing that. I am sure that this interesting session, has done some justice in terms of knowledge and learning, even to the viewers who are listening to us. And it is before ending, I would like to showcase a slide which would tell you the upcoming sessions of ours. So please stay tuned with the ArdorComm and kindly subscribe the social media handle of ArdorComm, where you would like to know that there are upcoming sessions on 14th of March, which is talking on how can skill development be enforced in educators with the help of technology to increase the digital literacy. On 30th of March, we are going to speak on how can blended learning change the dynamics of teacher-student relationship. On 12th of April, we are going to speak on how innovation and financing partnership will help reduce the urban-rural appeals in education through easier financing. And 26th of April, in what ways AI, ML, and student-centric technologies are enabling institutions to track, access, and record teaching learning progress. So Financepeer has been kind enough in being the powered by partner with ArdorComm for organizing this Education Leadership Symposium. This was just the start. There is more insightful and interesting session which is just in the pipeline. Kindly keep following our social media pages to be updated with the channel. So with this, let us formally end the session. And I would appeal everybody to kindly be safe and be in a positive environment wherever you are. And I hope sure by now everybody must have taken their second vaccine. If not, please do take your second vaccine. So for now, namaste everybody. Thank you so much.